So I've been single for about 10 years now. And whenever I tell someone that fact about me, they will ask me, like, how can you stay single for that long? What's going on? What's wrong? But some very serious facts, like some very serious fact is in my head and I can't get rid of it. God Himself, the smartest being that exists, the omnipresent being, the omniscient being, the omnipotent being, does not have a wife or a girlfriend at all. Never been in a relationship for eternity. Forget my 10 years of being single. He has been single for an eternity and never ever had a wife. He even has a son, and he got the son completely out of wedlock, and no woman was involved. That's how much he does not want to be involved in a relationship. And I always look out. I always look at the smartest people in society for inspiration, and I can't help trying to get inspiration from God Himself. God Himself is telling us something without saying it with words. A relationship is a trap. It's a trap, and God knows it. We keep complaining about the dating scene in this world, the online dating apps, the physical club meetings and park meetings, all that. We keep complaining how bad they are and how useless they are. And every time we continue doing the same thing and going into the same places to do the same thing and look for the same people. Why haven't we learned? Why don't we ask ourselves this question? If relationships were so good, why doesn't God have one? Why? Why did He create one for us? Was He trying to give us some trouble? I think it was a test. I think He created Adam and put Eve there as a test to see whether Adam was as smart as God is. And obviously he was not. He immediately got into a relationship with the woman he found. I think God expected him to stay alone. He must have been very disappointed in Adam for getting on with Eve. They should have stayed separate lives. Divide the Garden of Eden into two sectors, one for her and one for him, and they should never interact at all. I think that's how it's meant to be. That's what God expects of us. I know they say we were told to conquer the world and dominate it and fill it, but I think there are other ways to fill the world. Yeah, somehow we should ask God how He got a son without a wife. Because we seem to think that's the only way to get a son or a daughter. You have to have a wife or a husband if you're a woman. We should find, yeah, we should find another way to do it. I think we are doing it in science. We have these lab test tube babies. We can make them in a lab or something like that. That's progress in the right direction according to God's view of this world. God knows this very well. Yeah, if he thought relationships were good, he would have a wife himself. If he thought you should take someone and spend the rest of your life with them, he should have also picked someone and spend the rest of his life with that person. We would be learning about God the Mother all the time, but we don't. No one teaches us about that. And God, does God not expect us to question his relationship and his view on having a wife or a partner as such? He definitely has very strong opinions against it, as the scripture portrays it. He doesn't seem to approve of it at all. And actually, even Jesus himself, when he came into this world, look, he didn't get a wife. There are reports that he had a girlfriend or something like that, but he didn't get a wife or children or anything like that. He spent 33 years in this world completely alone, and he's supposed to be the holiest man who has ever walked on this earth. That is, if you are a Christian and you believe in that stuff. Yet he didn't. What message was he sending us? What messages are the popes of this Catholic Church in this world sending us? They spend their entire lives single with no woman besides them. What are they not telling us? They're supposed to be the saints of tomorrow. And when the Pope dies, is classified as a saint. Are they trying to make sure we don't become saints after we are dead? Do they want to keep it exclusively to themselves, the sainthood? What is the logic behind it? Why don't they tell us to follow their footsteps? Why are you praying and blessing our relationships while you yourself don't want to be in a relationship? You know something we don't. You're supposed to be our example. Why is our example for telling us to do things you're not doing? Preaching water and drinking wine. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. But God should have a wife. Pope should have wives. Jesus should have a wife, or should have had a wife. I was very confused when I was growing up, and I wanted some advice on how I should go ahead with my relationships. Like, I really wanted to know how I should treat a woman or anything like that, how I should treat my children, and how I should make sure I have the best conducive environment for my family and everyone. And I was looking at Jesus and I'm like, where is the scripture that Jesus teaches us about how to deal with our wives and children? And I didn't find it. I read the entire Bible from Genesis to Revelation. 66 books, I think. All of them. I even went and read the Quran, the Torah, the Vedas. I read all of them. And it seems these people have one common thing. These people look so much up to, like, as saints or gods. They seem to have had a very different relationship with partners, women or men, if they were women, although most of the scriptures is by men for men. And I can't help but think they are confusing us. We are confused. We shouldn't be getting into relationships. We should completely avoid them. We should stay separate. Men with their own men and women with their own women. Completely separate worlds. Maybe we should take one of the species to Mars or to Jupiter, wherever they are able to live, and have them exist there independently of us. Maybe after 100 years, the human civilization is going to end. But what example was Jesus setting for us by not getting married? Because I could have looked up to him on what I'm supposed to do in my marriage. But if I look up to him, then I'm going to stay single forever. And maybe I'm following in his footsteps. Who knows? But I got into a relationship, so I feel like I messed up there. Yeah, it was one that I think I messed up by getting into that. And I feel guilty sometimes when I think of it. I'm like, I should have completely followed in his footsteps. Maybe I would be going to heaven in this body and resurrecting. Who knows? Maybe that's the key to it. Remaining single forever, you will go to heaven directly. That may be the truth. Who knows? He never said anything about it. Talked about so many things. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Love your God with all that. Like, those are the two important things. He didn't say love your partner as you love yourself. That seems to be the common agreed upon way to live. Like, love your partner and all that. He never say that. I don't know why, and I don't understand why, but I'm completely suspect. I'm very critical of relationships. I try to look at them from the angle of a Christian, because I had been a Christian for the longest time in my life. I can't help but see the prejudice that exists against relationships, and why the topmost people in this religion and everything prefer being single for the rest of your life. God has been alone for an eternity. Not alone really, but there are other men around. I don't even know whether there are any women in heaven. It seems like the angels are male, Jesus is male, God is male, the Holy Spirit is also male. Like, everyone and everything in heaven is male. They avoid the female. They are afraid. I think they're afraid of women. I hear men saying, I'm afraid of women and all that. And I'm like, I think you're on the right track. God seems to be afraid of women also. Why else? Apparently, I don't know whether the devil was a woman or something like that. Maybe I think the devil was a man. I hear, according to the literature I read, I think he's also a man. Even the devil is a man. I don't know where he came up with the idea of a woman from. And maybe I think he wanted to experiment whether we as human beings are able to coexist with women. I think he's trying to learn from us. God is trying to learn from us and see how he can be able to get a wife himself. Maybe we are an experiment for God trying to find a wife. And I think there might be some truth to that. Yeah, this might be just a simulation, an experiment, a big experiment of 1,000 years for God. God can do an experiment for thousands of years because he lives for eternity, just to make sure he understands exactly how women operate and how he can be able to secure a wife himself. I think he's seriously looking for a wife. Otherwise, why would he put women on this earth who are not in heaven? And are the women going to heaven? I don't know. I don't know. They talk about heaven, and I only hear about male figures in heaven. I don't hear about the women in heaven. So are they going to heaven, or you just pick the men and leave the women here? Or maybe he's waiting to understand them and figure out how to get a woman himself. Then he will enter the earth and the universe, and then we will be back to wherever we're supposed to be. I think so. I think that's it. And I could be right. I could be very right. I don't think anyone knows exactly what God is thinking, but I don't think I'm very far from the truth. women are difficult creatures to understand for a man. Yep. I have seen these countless times. Like when I was a little kid, I thought people were joking. People would be like my father, there's some things he cannot say in front of my mother. He will say them in front of all the other men in this world, but he can never say them in front of my mother. And as a kid, I thought he was afraid. Yeah, for some reason, I didn't understand because I'm like, you're physically very strong. If you started a fight, I don't think she would win. So why do you seem so afraid? And I also see this in so many videos, even online. A lot of fear being expressed by men for the female species. And when I was a child, I thought it was not justified. Because when I was a child, I didn't care. Like, if a woman messed up with me, I would engage her in a fight. If a man messed up with me, I would engage her in a fight. But right now, I see things differently. Like if I'm hit by a woman, I feel like I can't react and beat them up. Like I'll have to walk away. If a man beats me up, I might engage them in a fight because that is disrespect. But when a woman does it, however disrespectful I feel, I just can't engage her in a fight because she's a woman. I don't know what that means, but that's exactly how the society operates, and it's serious. Even the allegations. If a woman accuses me of something, and she goes out and cries and asks for pity or sympathy from people, I'm going to be in trouble. I'm going to be in a lot of trouble, not because she's physically stronger or because she has a better words than me or better emotions than me, but she's scary. Yeah, I think God knows this. I think the kingdom of heaven would have tumbled long time ago if there were women up there. Yeah, God the Father would be scared to do anything. His wife would be ruling and taking the world wherever she wants. This is how I feel. I'm not against women or anything like that. I think I've grown to become every other man who doesn't understand women at all. I really don't. They are completely different species. So me staying single is it, it's not a I wouldn't say it's a conscious choice, but it's a biological and um it's a biological choice that I didn't make really because I really don't understand how to go into it. I had this fixed notion that I would get one partner, one wife, and spend the rest of my life with the wife. That's the mindset I had when I was starting relationships for the first time. And then I just realized how difficult this is because I thought I was logical. I thought I was a logical person, and I thought all people are logical, people who talk the same way. But I realized that the way a woman processes information is very different from how a man processes the information. They are two completely different parts of the brain. And when you hear a woman correcting you and telling you what you did wrong, you look at yourself sometimes and wonder, are they talking about me? Is this really me they are talking about, or have they made up someone else in their mind? Because it makes sense, like, but it feels like being gaslighted. I feel like I'm being gaslit every time I'm being told what I did wrong because I'm like, I can think of 100 other ways that would prove I didn't do anything wrong, but you seem to find the one the one way of expressing what I did, which makes me look like a total bastard in front of everyone. Makes me look like a complete idiot and complete asshole, I would say. How do you even just think about how do they come up with these scenarios that make men look so guilty and everything? I hear men saying women are always right, and I've seen it firsthand. No apologies. Like when I'm wrong, I apologize. I apologize even when I'm not wrong. I have apologized so many times, but I realized like later I came to realize she has never apologized. You never noticed. I came to notice later on she has never apologized for anything. When she's wrong, she just keeps quiet and waits for you to get over it. And you will get over it as a man, whether you like it or not. You have to get over it and move past it. If you complain, you're emotional, and you're not supposed to emotion as a man. If you fight, you're an idiot. You're not manly. You are assaultive and all that. Yeah, it's just like that. So God has taught us a very good lesson. Stay single, and He has completely practiced. He's true to that principle of staying single. Since I was born, I have never heard of God's wife. I hear some people saying he had a wife, depending on which God you're talking about. But nothing is known about him, at least in the Bible. I don't know much about the other religions. I've read the scriptures, but I can't say I'm an expert in them. But the Christian God definitely didn't have a wife and hasn't had one in years. And I've not heard of him looking for one. Yeah, that's what I think about it. Thank you for listening.